Hello, hello. We are going to talk about the power of date night. I'm Rachel Elder. I am a couples therapist in Washington State and owner of Connected Couples Counseling. So I wanted to come on and talk about this one because I get really excited about date night. And the second part, because sometimes when I'm working with couples or we are working with couples in our practice, and we talk about going on a date and making it a ritual and consistent in our relationship or their relationship, they kind of get a little like, oh, that's the cliche response, and they don't understand how important it is. But date nights can be powerful. Date nights, date days, date afternoon, 1 hour date, 2 hour date, 30-minute date, they matter. The reason they are so powerful is because it's intentionally carved out time for you and your partner to connect, to play, to go do something new or do a ritual you love together, but it's time for just the two of you. When couples are coming to counseling, it is meant to be a space for them to sit down and talk about the dynamics that get in the way of connection, what is making it hard to communicate, or touching on the topics that are repetitive, the here we go again conversations in our relationship. And we get to understand the process, the dynamics, the under the surface, behind the scenes parts that are impacting it. Date night is that activity that you do outside of session that can help you practice the skills you're learning, or to just go and have fun and play and find time to just connect between the two of you. We tend to date a lot in the beginning to get to know someone. It's the way that we find time to be together. There's excitement, there's joy, there's positive energy around it. And for some reason, as we go deeper into a relationship, the longer we are with our partner, we let that fall to the side, or because we live together, everything feels like we're doing it together. So why do we need to go on a special date night or schedule out time to date one another? But it's incredibly important. When you choose to say, I'm going to date you, you are creating this mindset around, I'm going to choose to spend time with you. I want to, I desire to do that. It's important to do it. And it is time for me to date you, to learn about you, to learn what's going on in your world, to really be curious about one another, to be curious about you and one another, and to be very intentional with that carved out time. Date night also invokes play. Most of the time when we think about dating someone, it was always dinner and an activity, or a meal, food and an activity, something that you were doing together that was new. We often, as we are in our relationships longer, tend to go on date nights that feel easier or something we've done before. And as a couples therapist, I want to challenge you to also continue to do new things, try new things together, lean into the things you know that work. That feels good. You can step into that date night knowing like this is probably going to go well. Or if it goes sideways, it's probably not because of us, or can be sometimes, but it's probably going to go well. When we try new things, there's some risk, there can be some anxiety, but it's meant to stir things up in a good way. Let's go try. My husband and I did pottery one time. He was pro at it. I could not do it. I was like, I don't want to do this again, but it was still fun to do it. Or what did we do? There was a day night we did the other week that I was like, not for me. I don't remember what it was, but it's good to try new things. It doesn't always have to go well, but it's an opportunity for you guys to do something new together, to learn about something new together, and to see what it's like. Right now, my husband and I are trying to find ping pong. That's what it was. I wanted to go play ping pong because I'm like, we've never played ping pong together. And the place I found was $60 to rent a table for an hour, so we didn't do it. But we're going to make it happen one of these days. And it's little things like that, right? Ping pong playing, going bowling, golfing, all the things you can think of. But trying new things together creates more fun. You learn, you grow together. And that's the point of dating. It's what we do in the beginning of a relationship, getting to know someone, trying new things with them. We want to continue that on in our relationship. That is very powerful. Intentional time to connect and play and have fun and talk. The other power is that it helps our mindset. Even when your relationship is struggling, when you can say, we're going through a hardship, and yet we are trying to connect. We are trying to date one another. It helps you move through the hardship, the challenge, the tough time. It's not always easy, but it helps foster that growth and development together by saying, even though this is hard, you and I are important to each other. We are showing up to this date night, date day, date experience to grow, to find connection through a hardship, through a challenge. So a lot of time when couples come to us, they are in the hardship, they are in the challenge. Most couples do not come to couples counseling because they're like, we want to just learn new skills and learn about one another more. That is ideal as a therapist, and it's not the reality. A lot of times people are seeking out couples counseling because they are stuck. They are struggling. They are facing a lot of challenges, and they are not sure how to get through it. So they're seeking the outside education expertise of how to navigate it. When you can link a date night to that, that's an intentional time, you can hear that word a lot, of we're going to pour into each other outside of the pouring in we do in the couples work and through the hardship, the challenge that we are navigating. Date nights are powerful. Don't undervalue them. Don't underappreciate them. It's hard to create them as a ritual, but there's a variety of ways to do this. My husband and I, we like to leave the house for date night. And when a sitter cancels or a child is sick, we have learned how to do date night in the evenings or even a 30-minute date night. It doesn't have to be long. It just has to be intentional. So if you can't afford the sitter or you can't afford to go out, find a way to create date night at home. The way that it feels different is that it's not your normal routine. So you could call date night of watching a show together every night a date night, and that's cool if that works, but it doesn't typically work for us because that ritual becomes habitual, and we want that, but it becomes stagnant if that's all we do. So we got to mix it up. We got to try new things, whether it's a Monopoly game night or you listen to a podcast together, and that's not your norm, and then you have a conversation afterwards at home. There's so many great resources, Pinterest, Instagram, Googling the web. You can come up with so many ideas of how to do date night out and date night at home. If the excuse you have for date night is that you just don't know what to do, that excuse is off the table with all those resources. The other part of date night is that you gotta desire and want to do it. Now, I'm not saying you have to be 100% motivated, but you have to be invested somewhat to say, like, I want to show up and I want to give this a shot. I want to give this a try. That can be really hard to do when you are in a place of challenge and hardship. To want to believe that there can be goodness, to want to prioritize time with your partner. And so you've got to have some willingness to step in with that mindset of, though this is hard, though we are fighting, though we are struggling, I believe, or I want to believe, that finding some time to connect with you can support us through this hardship. So I am very much pro date nights. I often recommend it to my couples. I encourage them to figure out a way to integrate it into their life, even if they're very busy, figuring out, like, can you find 30 minutes to have lunch together, 30 minutes to have breakfast together, to enjoy your coffee together before you start on your days. Anytime that's intentionally held as, this is you and I dating one another. I'm pro it because I also have experienced that in my own marriage. My husband and I really struggled after having our little one, a year and a half to being parents. There was a lot of disconnect, a lot of our feeling like our lives were moving apart instead of together. And we tried couples counseling. It just wasn't the right fit at the time. And instead of continue to search for a therapist, we decided to try a date night every week. We said, let's try this for a period of time. And if we still feel like we need couples therapy, we'll circle back to that. And it was really transformative. I'm pro couples therapy and date nights. And if couples therapy is you're finding it hard to find a good fit, or it's not, again, in that price range, consider date night. Date night can be reading a couple's book together. 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. What's the EFT one? I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll put some books in the comment section, but reading a book together, listening to a podcast, and that is you working on your relationship while also having a date together. Whatever it is, I encourage you to figure out how to work on your relationship and grow and evolve together with a date night mixed in with it. So I'm curious for you, if you love date nights in your relationship, if you've struggled to make date nights happen, what have you done to make it work? What are some of your favorite date ideas? We have some resources. We have a Try New Things resource that's just ideas to implement new rituals into your relationship. We have a date night calendar, so we'll send that in the links in the comments. Feel free to download it. They're just free resources we've created over time. And if you need help coming up with date nights, put them in the comments. We have a ton of ideas, and we also love to utilize the resources we talked about earlier. We would be happy to throw some different ideas out your way for you. All right, I'll see y'all next time. Bye.